it was could have won. And that is something you cannot deny from BTK. They looked very strong in games 1 and games 2.
That's why I said single-handedly, bar none, that BTK versus Fnatic Onyx matchup was the best series in M6 so far.
I mean, we say that. I've talked to Fly Chicken before. I met him in a hotel room. I've seen him do his thing up on stage. But during M4, he was telling me, and I got a good read on his personality. Because when he is a competitor up on that stage, it's not about socializing and having fun anymore. It's about what it takes to win. And he has an extremely realistic view of the world, the game, and the way that he approaches a lot of these situations. It's not about, oh, I took a game so I should feel good about it. It's, I need to win this series, therefore we have what it takes to win it all.
If you're unfamiliar with the young Fly Chicken, the EXP laner for BTK for many years in the history of international tournaments for Mlbb esports, when Fly Chicken is there, we always commend the young man's brain. Just how he sees the game, how he sees the drafts as one of the more vocal presences in the drafting. He's sort of, in a way, you can link him to like a playing coach for BTK and whatever team that he ends up in terms of just how he sees the game.
As true as that is, personally what gets me about Fly Chicken is his amazing clutch gene. In game, when the young man gets a hero like an Arlott, when the young man gets a hero like
the glue,
he somehow just finds a way to dictate the whole pace of a team fight. So that's what I want to see here.
So now the question hanging over potentially Fly Chicken and BTK is, Mlbb, does he have any other weapons or potentially shields in his arsenal? Because even Captain America has his weaknesses. And right now, a glaring thing that might be hanging over his head is Fredrin, the only weapon in Mlbb's arsenal, Gideon.
It's interesting. We know for a fact, especially after their win in NACT, he's shown off that he can play some of the off-meta picks, things like Paquito even, right?
The
Akai as well. But here's the thing. In this current metagame here, I would love to see if Mlbb is able to pick up a more mobile assassin, the Hayabusas and as well as the Lynx, to allow the teams to play 4-and-1. Something that we don't see BTK actually do too often because they're so eccentric when it comes down to playmaking and 5v5 team fights.
It seems like my understanding of BTK from an outsider's perspective is that they are well, a chess-minded team. I mean, before we used to hear about how Mlbb and Fly Chicken would play a lot of chess together, and you can sort of see that. They shine with Protect the King lineups. When they have a lineup that is meant to really just help 1 or 2 shine, then they're good. But if it's a little bit more individually focused, it seems like that's where the certain lapses in BTK's performances can get exposed by other teams from stronger regions. So if there is a chance for Mlbb and for BTK to actually show up their other off-meta picks, hopefully they take it because they've shown to be very understanding with it.
I'm with you. I'm hoping that over the past 48 hours they've evolved and they've found a way to do more than just Protect the King, because they did well by doing that, getting the Filipino-Canadian going ham, Zia on that Bruno against Fnatic Onyx. If there's a way that they can put Mlbb more confidently on a Suyo, and then they can do the 4-1 split, right? That would be better. They can play the map, and then they can get a victory. That should definitely deepen their pockets when it comes to strats.
I do feel at the very least, when we're thinking about BTK, what makes them shine is because they like to play toolbox sort of lineups. I want to have an answer to every single scenario. But the metagame, unfortunately, when it comes down to these drafts, they eliminate a lot of those toolbox style of heroes. And that's why Suyo is the go-to pick for someone like Mlbb, who looks at the scenario and says, can I do it? Yes. Should I do it? Maybe. You got to roll the dice a little bit. But let's compare it to Falcons, right? They have a very clear identity of how they want to play, but at the same time, the diversity of their lineups are nasty.
Yeah, as we look now at the lineup of Falcon Esports, Benny, Kidex, PX7, Dax, and Royal Milk. Honestly, if you've seen them in their performances, in their wins against Aurora and SRG, they are so darn impressive.
That's right. I think the breadth of Falcon Esports strat hasn't yet been found. We've seen him go late, we've seen him go fast, and I think here against BTK in this best-of-3 banger incoming, we're about to see more from, dare I say, Dax. I think since we're talking about Mlbb and how far he can take the likes of a Paquito and a Kaya Fred, Maybe we'll see more of Dax's pocket picks, more than just that Bane.
I mean, I would like to see that as well, but Royal Milk to me has been quite the standout, especially in the EXP lane. It's either you're looking for big playmakers or huge sandbags, right? And I think that Royal Milk is the perfect in between the two, especially when you're thinking about BTK.
And of course, it's the boys, Zia, Shark, Hoon, Mobazane, and Fried Chicken. I'm glad that at the tail end of the roster reveal for Falcon Esports, you guys gave Royal Milk his flowers, because I got to talk to other teams and they said, yeah, Royal Milk, this dude is something special. But BTK, they just have something about them that even some of the best teams in the world like sort of forget the fundamentals and just fall into traps.
No one collapses into a team fight like BTK. This was a revelation to me when we watched them go up against Fnatic Onyx Philippines, a tournament favorite. Whenever they would collapse, whenever Shark would find whoever with that show, whenever Hoon would be able to rope a dope from bush to bush, it's just a thing of beauty. I don't think I've ever seen a team get that in sync when it comes to fights.
You know, the one thing that I think that BTK is quote-unquote lacking, it's a give and take personal opinion on this one, they don't have a quote-unquote pillar. Everybody on the side of BTK lives up to that organization name of Bloodthirsty Kings. They are playmakers at heart, tried and true.
So here's what Mobazane said when we asked him about what he thought about the draw. He said he's happy with it and he can finally get some revenge after MSC. Remember, Falcon Esports, if I'm not mistaken, they were in the same group as Mobazane and Cloud9 back in that time, and they were able to sweep Cloud9. So Dax and Benny are the two players that he's really looking out for. It's the course of Falcon.
The course of Falcon, interesting. I hope that when we go into the draft, there's going to be a high focus on those hero pools, right? Especially coming into the second phase.
Yeah.
Maybe they should watch out for what Shark brings out. He's currently played 5 heroes unique over the 5 games they played so far in Swiss.
Yeah, which with them thinking more about the course, I think both teams, without even realizing it, are actually going to be thinking more about their EXP laner. That one lane that you can win, that one solid foundation for your draft. Speaking of, here it is, game number 1's draft between BTK and Falcon. Falcon has also shown some flexibility leading into this in their matches against Aurora. They showed off that they can play Bane really well. Up against Twisted Minds, unfortunately, where they lost, they showed that they can play Hayabusa in the jungle, and they have 1-1 available for them. And of course, when they defeated Selangor Red Giants in the mid 1-1 bracket, that's where we saw the joy. So a lot of flexibility in the jungle for Falcon.
Oh, hey, talk about flexibility. Give him the power pick.
Benny
Flex
Bruno!
this.
Benny Bruno!
Best in the world.
Yeah, that's his signature Bruno. And you're right, Gideon, there are players all over the world who might even say that Benny is the best Bruno in the world right now.
As far back as 6 months ago, people will swear by Benny's Bruno. He's been making this pop in Myanmar.
You gotta respect what Falcon did there, also banning out the glue of Fried Chicken. If BTK somehow win this game, that might take the wind out of Falcon's lungs, because that's your #1 pick. That is your ace multiple times over. So BTK, they gotta be ready for this.
I think
right?
they want to be ready for this, but I think the approach that Falcons are taking is really intelligent as well, right? Get rid of the glue to make sure that you might have a winning matchup, or maybe even force back. Oh my goodness, the crowd is going wild for Falcons to try and end this quick. But as I was saying, slow down the approach of these big playmakers from BTK's side. Play the tempo.
Will Mobazane get his Fredrin is one of the questions. And picking up the Vexana feels like their sort of soft answer to what could be a Fredrin pick in the making.
So far, I don't see any stoppers from Falcon. I was expecting for them to invest in the Aurora. Given how much there could be a potential assault onto Benny. Oh no, they end up with the Fredrin.
Yep. Signature for signature. Dare I say, might be a bit ego by Falcon?
I mean, both of these teams have big identities on their side. And I think, Falcons, the fact they're making this hard read, again, you have the high loss, they want to play a traditional front to back. If they're going to play Fredrin as well, that mini Lord is going to do some work on top of having a fear. Disengage mechanics and ways to control the fight.
So there's the answer. There's the extra body to protect Benny. Who knows what Bruno could do to Aluyi, even on their way out from the diversion. I'm pretty sure Super Friends has memories of Zia's stray ball hitting him from that distance.
Looking at the Phobius pick, though, I kind of appreciate it for the fact that it might already turn off a potential Arlot pick for Fried Chicken, considering that, I mean, you're very familiar with this in MPL Philippines, that Phoveus has like a 90% win rate over an Arlot.
Mechanically just wins.
Yeah, mechanically just wins. It's not impossible, but it's a big possibility. And BTK, historically, when they have a high loss on their side, it goes into the hands of Shark. But of course, not turning off the idea that we might see something like his Gwyn pop up and the more unique roamer picks that he has in his arsenal.
Now, speaking of roamer picks, we're seeing that BTK on the second phase, both Cho and as well as Tigreal, been taken out. So that begs the question whether BTK might just go for another like big pick like Guinevere for Shark once more.
And I love the Guinevere if you're going into a Vexana and Bruno draft, because you can just find him. Shark can go the angle, coast to coast, and then flicker spatial migration into a big thump. So with that said, what can Kid X do? Because they're stretching out Kid X's hero pool here.
I think they still have... Okay, they ban out the Edith. Unless BTK steal away the Gothard, I'm thinking that Falcons might have to dig a little bit deeper in their own pool. I don't see them trying to go for, like, you know, Assassin Styles, the Hellcurts, the Natalias in that support sector just yet.
Yeah, and everything that's anything in this current metagame has been picked, unless you go as deep as a Ruby.
Ooh, that's a good call as well.
Or an Arlot Roam, because again, you're expecting dudes to just come out of diversions. When you see that come in, Final Slash.
Let's see if that's what Falcon might consider. So, as we said, BTK, are they better than the OG BTK in M3? Let's see this code. You like the Alpha and the Minotaur.
Because Falcons are saying, you want to play front to back? Let's brawl. We are going all in on this. Everybody's ultimates. I mean, you're looking at BTK. Based off of these four, they want to play a chase lineup here. And Falcons say, we can fight anywhere. As long as it's a choke point, Minotaur can do some work. We just need Alpha to buy us a little bit of time, if not the Phoveus.
Given the direction that our metagame has evolved, I think Minotaur might be a good stop. Minotaur might be a good checkpoint to how well these teams understand the fundamentals of the team fight.
Oh my God!
What a swerve! Fredrin possibly going into the EXP lane. Oh no, it's an old throwback! Joy XP!
It's EXP lane Joy. BTK still has surprises.
M4 was the last time we saw this.
And we were saying the EXP lane might be the biggest factor to look out for.
They say that surprises are a type of joy.
Wow.
And I think BTK is giving that to us right now, Mirko.
Hey, the last time we saw the joy in the XP, it was at M4, and that's very in that event, man. Falcon and Falcon and the Valley were tied up for 5th and 6th place. So I guess we'll see who gets it, who gets the knockout stage first. If it's going to be BTK Fried Chicken, this is literally the M4 throwback. It's Vengeance Joy XP.
Yup, the revenge match is up here. BTK wanting to take down Falcon Esports. But will the Burmese Sky Warriors emerge victorious against the bloodthirsty kings themselves? Let us find out as we jump into the land of Dawn.
I don't know if we're casting from Malaysia or Myanmar right now, man, because the Falcon fans in the building, they're going crazy. The Burmese in the building are going crazy.
They've been going crazy the whole time, even before the teams had walked up on stage. So you can really see the support being shown here for Falcon Esports. That should definitely play into their winning chances quite a bit. And of course, as per usual, guys, the M6 Pass is available from the 18th of November to the 29th of December. Make sure to complete all active tasks during the event to reach level 75 for free and get amazing rewards, including Claude's Battle Emote, Baxia's Battle Emote, special skin Baxia Dauntless Shield, as well as several other things like Claude's M6 exclusive skin, Challenger Spark.
Ooh, or the Prime skin, man. My personal favorite from that pass is definitely the Prime skin, Cosmic Blaze. We haven't seen it just yet in the M6 Swiss stage. Maybe it's still just not the best pick to go for when there's a Granger, when there's Bruno. And on the note of the Bruno, this ain't a random Bruno. You know, this is Benny on the Bruno. I've spoken to multiple pro players. You can see the win already for Benny there, last hitting the gold crab. But speaking to a lot of different pro players, they all have like similar opinions for Bruno on Benny on Bruno. You do not give him the Bruno, because every time you do, especially if he gets to the item power spike, he was, to put it simply, he was carrying on the Bruno before the Bruno was busted.
Yep, so far, Benny has a 100% win rate on the Bruno this Swiss stage, so it is undoubtedly a signature. But you could say the same for the opposite side, right? Mlbb still 100% win rate on the Fredrin as well. A comfort pick that the BTK team will always go for, even if it's not necessarily the most meta. From what I've seen, it really allows them to tighten their gameplay, right? Because Mlbb is able to contribute to opening up the map and is able to go more aggressive with a bit more of a safety net.
See, the taunt coming down, Dax already very low. Far Chicken gonna jump into the back line. Mlbb wins out the retreat battle. Minions Fury catches two, but Chicken electrifying beats onto Kid X. Royal Milk caught in the Brazers, Wrath forced back. Far Chicken with a double kill, and BTK with the early dub.
BTK, this is the impact really of having Mlbb on this Fredrin.
Whoa.
There, oh, Benny.
Zia just looking for the... Oh, man. Diversion, glorious pathway. Benny still surviving for a bit, but Hoon deals the final blow to take him down to the bottom lane.
There's a very different quality to BTK's aggression when Mlbb is on a hero like this. It lets them have that dual front line while enabling Fried Chicken to be more of a aggressive enabler in the EXP lane. So it leans a bit closer to the previous meta, but it is something that they are very practiced on and have mastered to a certain extent. However, we certainly cannot count out Fcon Esports. Their ability to scale and respond to aggression towards the mid-game phase needs to be respected. So for the team from NA right now, they want to try and expand this lead as much as possible to set up space for Zia to get these stacks on Granger.
And usually you would say, you know, with a lead like this is great, right? I mean, Falcon is it's going to be tough to come back, but Falcon have always been able to come back. Dax, Spear Valve defensively, the diversion was perfect from Hoon, and they get the collapse. It's just so coordinated by the Bloodthirsty Kings. PX7, good Terrify there to stop Mlbb from getting a pick. Probably Chicken off top in a 1v1, popping electrifying beat, solo kill by Chicken! Is on a killing spree!
BTK are feeling themselves right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is a team that wants revenge for what the Burmese have put them through in previous international stages and wants to show the world that they are capable of easily making it into another M-Series knockout stage. You can tell that they are in their comfort zone, the connection, the communication, the timing.
Great Eternal Guard from PX7 there to stop whatever BTK was planning, but they still get the prio, and Zane's on the turtle.
Being able to secure this turtle would help a lot. BTK already on a 3K net worth lead. Fcon Esports, they need this one.
Minions Fury coming down. That's a retribution. Benny's the one who gets this. Chuck going to be caught in the midst of it all. White Chicken jumps in with a diversion into the back. And now the electrifying beats will melt PX7. Zane falling down, but it's just Zane. That's Sonata 1 from Zia. That's a flicker from Zia. A Rhapsody, and Chicken will be dancing with the beats.
Ooh, Fcon Esports successfully securing the turtle by just dropping one by one to a relentless pursuit from the Bloodthirsty Kings. You can really see that there's a little bit of a personal vendetta here. They are really chasing them down, and there's a lot of confidence in their ability to achieve that. The Joy EXP lane, not something that we've seen in a long time, but actually a surprisingly effective position for the hero, since giving her vengeance allows her to be a much bigger threat, especially now that she no longer has that CC immunity that she started off with when she was introduced. You would think that Phoveus would be a bit more effective at dealing with a dash hero, but nowadays, with the revamp that has been added to him, it's actually more difficult for him to stay on top of White Chicken.
Revenge for Royal Milk, perhaps. Chicken low gets out. Barely there. Good calculation. The Bloodthirsty Kings, it's a bit off, right? I mean, usually when you see a Granger, especially with a Fredrin, you would think that they would play it front to back. But Bloodthirsty Kings are playing front to back with the frontliners not being as tanky as a normal front to back composition. They're playing the frontliners as divers. So with the aggression, they're able to get space for Zia to just shoot them down. I think that's a very unique way to play this front to back.
Yeah, frontliners as divers actually seems to be the traditional BTK style, right? That's the reason why Mlbb really enjoys these tankier junglers. It enables them to go for the same sort of aggressive stance that you can with a front to back, while also introducing the wild card in the EXP lane as a team fight engager. Because nowadays, we see a lot of heroes like Phoveus or Hylos who can start fights in the EXP lane, but not to the same extent as something like a Joy, for example, right?
Uh-oh. Zia gets a turret down below. Zane will just poke Royal Milk out. Zia's detonata. That's one. Rhapsody as well. BTK corralling over the turtle.
Dangerous positioning. Fly Chicken in the back line.
Electrifying Beast with Glorious Pathway now to Minas Fury and Eternal Guard. 3 members knocked up. That's another knockup onto 3. But it does not matter. Sia was free to just gun them down and he's looking for more. Dax is zoned away and BTK didn't lose a single member in that skirmish.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the current meta, we are seeing more classic tank heroes like the Minotaur not having as much of an effect as it used to compared to before. It's just not tanky enough after the more recent nerfs, the HP across the board, and Minotaur not really being that tanky in the first place. Bloodthirsty Kings are just basically surviving all of the initial engagements and then turning it around on Falcon once they've run out of cooldowns.
Now they're rotating up top. The siege from BTK continues. 3 turtles, a 7,000 gold lead at 7 minutes. So far, the Bloodthirsty Kings have been able to actually get Zia into a spot where he's literally just snowballing. And we know the Granger is already a threat, right? I mean, if you're not snowballing, if you're just equally trading and equally scaling with the Granger, stacking up is already going to be a big problem. But now that Zia's 3 kills ahead, and he has so much farm on his name, I wonder how many stacks he has, right? And if it's enough already to get to technically that mid-game, or sorry, late-game power spike for Zia, even though we're in the mid-game.
I don't think it's quite to the late game power spike yet, but he has definitely started to overcome the mid game power spike for Granger, right? So this is a very comfortable position for BTK to be in. Falcon does still have the Bruno, but hold on.
Good punishment of Vengeance is right there. Fried Chicken will still be able to survive, and actually now gets Numbers Spear of Alpha, but Dax falls. It's a shutdown. Ooh, Betty barely flickering out, almost getting caught by a very low Fredrins of Fraser's Wrath. Still though, 3 for 1. Chicken dies. It's a shutdown. But it's not enough to really get a dub here in terms of trades. And there we have it. 528 stacks at 8 minutes.
Yep, definitely past the mid-game power spike now. Zia in a very, very comfortable position. And we've already mentioned this beforehand, right? When you're up against a Bruno, your goal is to end the game before the 15-16 minute mark. BTK definitely on that track right now. In fact, it's a 9k goal lead in 9 minutes. 14 kills, only 2. Falcon Esports has a draft that's okay at scaling into the late game, but they're so behind at this point. It is going to take them a miracle to be able to turn things around against BTK, and they're just continuing the pressure!
A full crush connects! Will fall Chicken dancing in the back. Benny will be able to kite away. That's Sonata, not close enough. Royal Milk body blocking the shots from Zia. They get another kill over. It's Dax and Kid X for Fried Chicken.
Oh boy, we are seeing the reason why teams are respect banning this Fredrin.
Oh, Sky Piercer.
Oh, yep, there it is. I really like this timing as well. We saw previously the Granger being played, I believe, by Twisted Minds, going for the Sky Piercer very early on to try and build stacks, but this is a better timing where Zia is already in a position to be able to get those stacks easily. The first Lord pushing up top lane usually doesn't do all that much damage, but with the amount of advantage that BTK have under their belt right now, Falcon Esports, their counter engage is not bad, but they're simply not able to dish out enough damage to actually be a threat to BTK. They cannot even survive the initial burst, not to mention deal with Mlbb.
They were slow pushing up top. Oh my god, what a shot! Oh, who gets it with a lethal ignition? Zia constantly just poking him down. Dax in the mid lane, clearing out the wave. The Lord has dealt with one. Chicken trying to look for an angle. Now the Glorious Pathway is placed down. Royal Milk will be forced to flicker out. The Yin reaction ready. Dax still able to clear out the mini waves. Lord taken down up top. And Falcon half defended. But BTK with the first Lord are able to crack a base turret open, and they're looking for more in the mid lane.
Yeah, the higher your lead is with the first Lord, the more damage you can do. And even Fried Chicken being teleported in.
With a diversion, out of Vengeance as well. Gets knocked out with a Minas Fury, and Chicken should die. Sane don't miss of it all, still able to survive. Dashes out to safety. And Sia guns him down. One last Death Sonata earlier. 3-4-1 trade. Who looking for Fried Chicken? And now it's going to be Betty gunned down again. Sia with a Sky Piercer. 11 minutes. And BTK take game 1.
Living up to their name, BTK is bloodthirsty for revenge, and they run down Falcon Esports without a shred of mercy. They said they were out for vengeance. They said they were out for payback, and they're showing the world what that payback looks like. A very quick and easy domination using comfort heroes and a surprise Joy EXP lane. I think our panel will have a lot to say about this one, so let's throw it back over.
Falcon Esports look like they just straight up underestimated the power of BTK so far in M6, giving some of the best heroes that BTK has played with so far in this tournament. Dare I say, that draft from Falcon felt a little bit disrespectful. They overestimated their capabilities.
They took no heed to one of BTK's most powerful tools in the playbook, the collapse. No one collapses like BTK. No one does, especially when you put a Louis into Hoon's hands, and that throwback on the Joy, the XP lane Joy, that Fried Chicken just tweaked a bit, threw it from all the way back in M4, made it a lethal XP core here in M6.
I mean, it's an interesting take on what the EXP should be doing, right? Because Joy can get into that backline and nobody can really stop that. But at what cost? Let's look at the item build here, because then it makes a lot more sense. Now, that very first interaction probably was the haymaker coming in from BTK, because Chicken walks away with 2 kills. Once he got that Genius Wand, man, I don't know. As much as I want to believe that Royal Milk should have been able to hold on, that Gold League gap was just way too much. That Radiant Armor just came in way too late. You can't protect yourself.
And when you prioritize rush of Phoveus like this, that usually means you're saying, we think our EXP laner can outperform your EXP laner in lane because we can win duels. That's one thing Phoveus is very good at. If he's not winning the duels, then he's a more annoying presence in the team fights, in the front line. But the Joy doesn't care about the front line. Joy here has one job. Activate what you gotta activate. Get the Bruno, get the Vexana.
And they never even found themselves in a situation where it's a real, honest team fight. It's always either been an ambush or a straight-up boss rush tower defense.
Yeah.
Because BTK were so far ahead. We were looking at, what, 8 or 9 minutes, and that was 10K gold between these two teams. So with that said, I think Falcon Esports, I'm going to say now, this early on, respect BTK more in the draft.
They've got to, especially when BTK has the lead. Even when you're looking at the items, right? The fact that you're going Thunderbelt Brute Force Breastplate from Mlbb, you know that he wants to just chill. Get a Guardian Helm, you know? We want to fight. We want to make sure we hold this lead. And I think, unfortunately, for the side of Falcons, it's really difficult because you have to choose. It's either I throw all my spells towards Chicken's side so that he doesn't get into my backline, but then the front line is creeping up on us, and then we are going to get pincered in.
When BTK can get a solid center, it allows them to be flexible and creative with their side lane picks. There's a reason why heading into this draft, we put a lot of focus on Fried Chicken and what he does for the team in the drafting. And they bring out an EXP lane Joy last pick. What the heck?
I mean, let me expand on this some more. As much as Fried is able to get into the backline, the question is how? The delivery system specifically from Hoon. They're not sending everybody. It's just Chicken. Sometimes maybe even Mlbb during neutral objectives, but in big team fights, you dump him into that side with 2 stacks, 1 dash, pop it, and then you let Zia do the cleanup.
And that's what gave Zia the, what we call in the business, gold lane experience. He literally was just minute to minute racking up stacks on the Capri show, and as early as 9 minutes he was at like 550 stacks.
It's such a great way of playing it. From the micro aspect of the snowball to the item progressions coming in from BTK, I think that Falcons are going to have to rethink the draft coming into game number 2.
Yeah.
There's probably a moment in that game where they're thinking, all right, this is a GG go next angle.
Yeah. Minotaur just doesn't cut it anymore. That in itself was very questionable. When you have a heavy front in the Fred, in the high loss plus the low Yi, Minotaur's not going to be the answer.
In Minotaur, last pick, red 4, blue 4 and 5, I think that's the equivalent of the Vex 2 and 3. Because I was thinking, hey, they invested so much in this Bruno for Benny, maybe they should have gotten the Aurora as well as a solid stopper. Instead, they went for the Vex, so I'm curious.
100%. And as we look at the MVP in Shark and his high loss 3-0 in 17, when you have your EXP laner playing something a little bit more offensive-minded, it now falls into the hands of the Roamer to be the solid rock and foundation of your lineup. That's what Shark was with this high loss.
I love it because we're seeing another side of BTK where it's not about just, hey, making huge plays, but also thinking of creative angles to get under the skin of your opponents. And now, at least, when I was talking previously, yes, they are playmakers, playmakers, but they need a pillar. Shark can do both. You need me to make a play, absolutely. But if you give us something like Kylos, my plays aren't crazy, but I will make sure I will get you over that finish line.
Look at his item choice, ladies and gentlemen. Both built items just tailored to answer Benny. Blade armor and dominance. I slow you down and hurt you as you kick them balls in my face. So Shark just does so much, whether it be on the offense or when you're going for re-engages. You'll see it in the clips right now in the highlights. Oh, that's it. Benny had to spend the flicker here. That's the nail in the coffin for me. As early as the 3-minute mark, I knew that the draft was going to do very little to BTK.
They were just non-stop. Again, bloodthirsty was the performance of BTK, and Fcon Esports just couldn't stop it. Even though they would chain knockups, they chained a great Minoan's Fury and Eternal Guardian over there, but nothing, no follow-up. It just completely got slipped away from their hands after they lost that initial skirmish.
To be fair, I would say that in most other situations, if you're on even gold against your opponent, that would have been enough. But again, there's just not enough influx in the economy to help them do so. Not enough items to make that happen effectively. And I think that at this point, if Fcon Esports were to redo their draft all over again, they probably should not look to deny BTK, but instead focus very much on their own playstyle. If we want Benny to carry, sure, but we need a secondary win condition.
Okay, quick hot topic question. A part of me feels like that the draft of Fcon Esports was them leaning way too hard in their individual playstyle. Because when you look at the picks, some of these are a little bit greedy. The Bruno, of course, well, #1 Bruno in the world potentially, as some people would say. The Phoveus, the Vexana. That sounds like them just trying to really pick their best, and they said, yeah, I got this.
The greatest hits. They just went into their greatest hits without heeding the fact that they're potentially facing off against one of the best team fighting teams in the world. So with that said, I agree. It takes two to tango. And for you to win a game of Mobile Legends Bang Bang, you just have to focus not only on your strengths, but consider what your opponents bring to the table. So if ever we do see a side switch up here, Falcons on red, that should help them do that.
Personally, for me, I think they need to just keep up with the consistent gameplay, especially in that laning phase here. Unfortunately for Benny, the fact that he got chunked out so much went as soon as the timing for Zia hit level 4, pokes him all the way back to his tier 1, then expecting the dive immediately after. I think the consistency from Falcons really needs to come by before they think about their draft.
All right, real quick, I gotta give this to the BTK fans. Yo, BTK fans, make some noise! All right, they're feeling good. And you know what? You two gentlemen, you look good every time you're on your desk. You know, there's just something about you that just glistens. It shines, really. Is it something with the wrist? I just don't know what. As we want to say, luxury meets gaming with Fairy's first M6 Swiss watches, a special jewelry collection for Jusin and Mia, and brand new champion rings and medals. Follow @FairyWorld on TikTok and our website for updates.
Oh, you're talking about this.
Oh yeah, that beautiful watch around your wrist.
Dragon hide leather.
Got that ice.
It's Swiss quartz movement.
Oh,
So good.
Sapphire crystal. The works.
the works, all of it. I mean, if you want to start showing off to pretty much anyone, yeah, put it on. Show him what the Green Fairy has got for you. Because if you think that he was a handsome man, Fairy bumps it up to a 10.
I feel like even more 10. Well, Leo was already a 10 and bumped it up to a 20, you know?
Woo!
It feels like.
Flatter me.
All right, nah, man, it's all facts here. Another fun fact is that Hello Panda, I love it. And we all do. Where is it?
Over here.
Go ahead, finish it, man.
Yeah, thank
you deserve it. Just go ahead.
yeah.
Just gobble it all up. Yeah, that's what Hello Panda turns us into. We love it when Hello Panda can fuel our game. It's crunchy biscuits filled with creamy chocolate, the ultimate snack to keep you energized. That's why Gideon never runs out of energy. It's non-stop. That's why we stayed up until 2, 3 a.m. playing card games last night.
That's right. Level up your day and visit Hello Panda's website for more. Order some, because Gideon already ate all of ours.
All right, Gideon. Okay, we good.
You got some more Hell Panda on your side? You got some more. You hiding it from me, brother?
No, I'm not hiding anything from you.
You better not be hiding from me. You know I love that Hell Panda.
He's a fiend.
No, I finished it. There's nothing you can do about that anymore, Gideon. It's all good. It's all good.
All right, look. The way that I am seeing things, sorry, I gotta flush that Hello Panda out of my system. I can still see the logos flying across my face. I think that as we go into this upcoming game, right, The consistency needs to be there because I think that not only did BTK play to their strengths in collapsing, but they really took advantage of any little sign of weakness. Oh, I chunked you out in the lane, instant dive. You give us too much respect and too much space, instant punish. At this point, Falcons, as much as I want to believe that, hey, yeah, they best hits top to bottom, I think they might need to do it one more time. We need to see not only those best hits, but we need to see something that synergizes, that really ties the whole composition together.
Okay, so you want a best hits for the current generation. You don't want to pull something from the 60s, the 70s. You want something that's fresh and new that people can get used to. So
Exactly.
take out the Vex, take out the Minotaur. That's it for me. Like, just work that out.
Yeah, let's see if we can delve a little bit deeper into the minds of Falcon Esports. We actually have a quote from their coach, Nyo Chao. I believe, hopefully he can allow us to understand Falcon Esports a little bit better with this one. He says, as a representative of Myanmar, Falcon has already won 2 matches from defeating Rora and SRG. Reaching this stage in M6 makes him proud, considering the fact that they've been in the same lineup since 2022. Hopefully the wins over Aurora and SRG hasn't gotten into the heads of Falcon Esports.
Yeah, no, after defeating SRG, they felt Falcon big, right?
Yeah.
After beating Aurora, that put us in this weird situation where now Aurora has to take down Team Liquid ID, so this is their doing.
Yeah.
So they got to dig deep into the playbook, get into the mindset that they were when they got these big dubs.
Exactly.
So that they can, I don't know, qualify, go to Game 3. Like, that's the goal right now for them. Go to Game 3. But how do you do that against BTK, who's literally, even when they're like tables away right now, I think the way Falcon feels right now, BTK is breathing down their neck.
Well, maybe just a little bit because there still is, I mean, there's not much stakes here. Nobody's going to get eliminated just yet. But I do think that at the very least, hey, let's go back to what works. Dax, let's put you on something that can hard carry this game rather than oppress your enemy. We need you to be able to get into that backline and really start threatening the members. But I personally think they need to start shaking up Hoon here. Because Hoon has been doing a very good job all throughout the Swiss stage. And the only times that you do see the team composition actually crumble is when you force Hoon to move out of position.
So shake up and shake down, Hoon.
Yep. Those are great approaches, especially for Falcon Esports. Respect the center of the map of BTK more. When they didn't do that against Twisted Minds, they lost. When they needed to recover and defeat SRG, they respected the heck out of Yume's and Stormy's potential pickups, and that's how they were able to get the W there. Let's see if they'll be able to continue that. But first, we gotta hear from members of the crowd there, some very familiar faces from North America.
Hi guys, welcome to the Courtside Report. Here's Michelle. So now I'm having the Assassin Dip with me. So why Assassin Dip?
Why Assassin Dave?
Yeah, why not?
Oh yeah, why not Assassin Dave? Assassins are fun, right? You saw the joy? Everybody love the joy? Yeah.
So you play Assassin right before? Okay, so would you like to introduce yourself to our audience around the world here?
Oh, absolutely. My name is Dave. I'm just a lover for the North America region in Mlbb Esports and M6. But I think our crowd is also a lover of BTK. Let me hear it! Woo! Oh, you know the vibe. You know the vibe.
It's full of the passion. So only the lover? Not like
lover.
the media producer or manager anymore?
Just a lover, yeah.
So many titles for you. Okay. So Dave, now your team, BDK, is coming back to the M World Championship. And they have become one of the headlines for our M6 race. So would you like to share any stories behind the scenes? Because people are going to be interested in this, right?
Oh, I only have 2 things to say. I think number 1, this is the strongest BTK we've ever seen, so we're excited to be here. And number 2 is we love Malaysia.
You love Malaysia. Yeah, you enjoy your stay here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have just mentioned it's the strongest BDK right now. So what do you think about the main difference between like the BDK in this version and the Valley in M4 and also the BDK in M3?
I mean, just look at the stage. We got the best roster in the world, right? I mean, we are not here for like top 4. Even though that's what players say. We're here for the top 1. You better watch out.
You were here for the top 1, yep. So, how's the feeling after watching the game 1, the BDK versus the Fcon Esports?
How do I feel? Feel pretty cold. I feel like the venue should get more heat here. No, I'm just kidding. We're excited to be here. And then game 1 was really clean. I hope BDK can keep it up and then show us some great 2-0 games.
Okay, we're waiting for the second game. So now let me check the time. According to my fairy watch, it's a good time to start the game too. So let's give it back to the panel.
Thank you to the lovely Michelle, and of course, it's always great to see Assassin Dave on our official broadcast. Always knows how to bring the hype. Dave, great job. Michelle, great job also. So now we gotta look into this game number 2. Will Falcon heed our advice and respect BTK? Because they need to.
It's not up to us, man. It's down to Coach Nyo Chow and Coach RC to get into their craniums that BTK are not to be trifled with. Not like that.
They got to warm up here. I think, you know, cold hands, game number 1, that can be a valid excuse for this one.
Yeah.
Coming into game 2, they got to equalize it. If not, I don't know. It's not exactly the best showing, but they need to get into the right mentality. We want to see the hungry Falcons. We don't want to see them just perched up.
As weird as it is, they got to bring out that dog in them. Because if you look at BTK, every single one of them, Dave was right to that level, to that effect that this is their best lineup for the world stage.
Yeah.
Each player, we mentioned earlier, lane by lane individually, they're the best at what they do. And they all have that dog in them. How do we see that in Falcons?
BTK looked locked in. Falcon, in the wins that they had against Aurora and SRG, they looked locked in as well. Actually, no, even against Twisted Minds. Twisted Minds and Falcon was a very long game, and they were on point there as well, even though they took the L. So it's just the first draft was so perplexing to me, and my brain keeps going back to that. So, all right, clean slate, game number 2. So 2 very clear things that Falcon needs to do. Get Mlbb Fred out. Get Captain America on something.
Agreed.
else. And respect either a Hoon or a Shark pick more. Yes?
I would say that both are good arguments to respect that pick, but more importantly, the main concept that they've got to control BTK with is tempo. Control their tempo. You know where they're going to rotate. You expect it even to a certain degree.
And here's the draft. We're seeing respect.
There we go.
Eve, Matilda, and Lo Yi.
Yep.
All right.
There's how you control tempo. In mid, you choose what Shark and Hoon can get, and then you go from there. I think it's easier to play lane from lane.
But, however, this is only the very first phase. Still, Fredrin is not going to be banned, and I think, you know, Falcons, they might have an answer to this. I just don't know in what just yet.
Are they going to throw it way back and just say first pick Fredrin? Come on, we already had like 2.5 years of that.
No, better yet, maybe it's first pick Martis.
I think he even took out the journal. First pick Martis. That's a little bit too far back.
we've had a long reign, long reign of Martis versus Fredrin.
But then also we acknowledge the fact that heading into this, that BTK has a lot of options in terms of compared with that. Other than the Fred, we have the Akai, the Alpha, the Suyos available. But now they're hammering down on the idea of, you know what? I feel like Shark and Hoon are more of the problem for us, so we'll take the high loss instead.
So this opens up the Bruno Gatot.
I mean, not only that, there's also Hilda as well.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, fun fact about Shark, he's actually terrified of sharks. He chose this IGN to confront his phobia. Is Shark just the Batman of NA?
I think he is. I mean, he's got the voice for sure.
It's a different universe from Captain America, but it'll work.
All right.
It'll fly.
And Mlbb NA, I just gave you all an idea for an edit.
Wanna go Moon Knight? All right.
So Mlbb the Gato.
Checking it, they have the Cho too. Cho's open!
Oh yeah, the Cho. Flexible, I believe, for BTK. Oh, they rust the glue.
That is,
And the Bruno.
that is odd. That is out of order, but it might just be the X factor.
But my
Play
faith will
Marvis.
always protect
They
me.
acknowledge that there's not a lot of answers to this glue, and I mean BTK and Fried Chicken have shown how disruptive they can be with it.
Okay, I mean, they're going to go with the soft counter in the Vexana one more time, just to kind of force priority with or without your support helping you out with Concussive Blast.
Yep. Necro keep heroes, whatever. Same. Paramis Vex.
I am the apex of
that
myth
Alpha?
and machine.
All right. So they get the Alpha locked in, which...
Do they go Fred again? Fred 3?
Why the heck not? I mean, they can just build again around that idea of playing for Bruno. And of course,
You should.
Captain Mega gets it back.
Okay, maybe the idea coming up from Falcons, true damage through the tank.
Yep, just burn him up, right? The Alpha does well. they still need more solutions. What, they throw a Lunox in the gold lane here?
Time and tide wait for no man. Team is
That would honestly that's a pretty interesting idea, but up against a Bruno, I think it scales too slow.
You just hunker down like I'm gonna have to survive the first 10 minutes.
As timeless
Falcon
as a
are
glacier's
running out of
heart.
options. They chose to prioritize the Vexana over the Beatrix.
What do they see in this Vexana?
Your team
We'll
is
find
banning.
out potentially in this game number 2. BTK takes away the Tigreal, and Falcon are slowly getting into the zone of getting out drafted again, not gonna lie.
We'll see in just a little bit, right? The second phase is where things are going to really shake up here, and I think that, you know, BTK, really good ideas, getting rid of the Beatrix, make sure, okay, at least you can't stop us from running at you, and as well as the Tigreal.
Yep, it's a different beat, same destination. I'm with you, Renmar.
I'll take out the choke.
Wipe out all the injustice in the
Respect
world.
Hoon, respect Shark. Better than first phase here. Better than the first game.
If they're gonna show up a Shark Gwyn pick here, hopefully they can save it for last. Because if Falcon decide to go the route, I'm thinking in my head, and they just say, "Oh, let's go Harith," suddenly they'll get turned around by a Gwyn pick.
That could happen, but also, what if you pick up another tank shredder in the Edith?
For Falcon,
Yeah. Primal Wrath, throw it on mid, throw it in XP, whatever. You can
Long.
switch it up with Hylos.
longer team fight, Hylos. Yeah.
And then you still go 4-1. You put whatever on Benny.
Problem is, BTK can block that if they go Valentina now.
I mean, I suppose, but at the same time, we have to remember that Glue is still currently active for the EXP lane, and right now they don't have many answers to it other than the Vexana, so the laning phase might be a little hard, but BTK now looking to scale?
Okay,
Wow.
so is this clear? Do you go Edith? Because there's no Valentina anymore. I was afraid they can go Red 5 Valentina.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I worry for this. It might actually punish her a bit. Granger, they go
Granger Edith?
range. Falcon. Oh, the lineup of BTK is it's just solid already, even though we don't see the last pick. If they go full heavy front line, then Falcon, it might take them a while. If Falcon wins like 2 engagements early on, like a sure win, then that's like the best way. They snowball.
I mean, they don't necessarily even have to interact with BTK for the first 2, at least for the first 2 turtles, but now they're gonna go CC just to try and win out that lane against the Glue. It's an interesting take coming in from Falcons. I gotta give them that.
They might be answering they might be bringing up solutions to problems that they see that we don't in the draft. Are they respecting this Red 5 pick?
Could be. That's ahead.
Yes, it is.
Oh, a lineup that scales well from the mid game. If ever it doesn't go well in the early, it does late. Very well rounded. While for Falcon, maybe Royal Milk will have the CC performance of a lifetime. That's the wildcard X factor that I'm having a hard time reading right now. Mirko Staffa, let's go.
I do not know what's gonna happen here, ladies and gentlemen, but BTK not only getting the Fredrin once again, but also the Bruno and even the Cecilion. A bit of a switch up on the formula here, Mirko.
Oh, that is crazy stuff, you know. In game 1, we saw a trade, the Fredrin, Mlbb Fred for Benny Bruno. I think it was a pretty good trade, you know, even though it didn't work out. They could have adjusted more, but I guess they saw that the Luo Yi, the Hylos was a bit more prio. But in return, you give away Bruno and Fredrin. We'll have to see, man.
We will have to see whether or not the Burmese Sky Warriors can dethrone the Kings with Bloodthirst at the forefront in the land of Dawn. It's going to be game number 2. Falcon Esports on the blue side versus BTK on the red.
In game 1, BTK quite literally clipped the wings of the Falcon. And for Falcon now, they gotta try to come back, man. They gotta try to equalize it on the board. 1-0 match point for BTK to qualify to the knockout stage. And you can already see how the Jawhead can work out, right? What's the weakness of the Fredrin in this meta? I would say it's clear speed. You pick up the Jawhead, and I don't know about the clear speed anymore, right? Like Shark on the concussive blast 2 on Jawhead. Crazy it's so good for leashing, man. Mobazane has already cleared up almost the entire jungle here and is actually matching up with Dax on the alpha.
Yeah, that Jawhead really provides a Fredrin with a lot of assistance in the jungle, and because nowadays you don't see quite as much jungle invasion at level 1 and 2 anymore, you're not really going to see anyone try and mess with the Jawhead, providing that leashing anyway too, right? So it provides a very effective way of helping speed up Mobazane against a jungler like the Alpha. We also see once again BTK going for a very mobility-based emblem setup, especially on Hoon, who is playing the Cecilion. This does mean seeing that BTK not going to have the greatest mid lane burst potential, so having Shark on this Jawhead helps make up for that as well.
For Chicken 2, you can see on the glue, he's actually opted to go for the agility and the wilderness blessing. My guess is he knows he's going to lose out of this lane, so what he's going to do is just clear out the waves as fast as possible and then rotate to the team. Dax, ooh, wow, great sidestep. I don't know if that was intentional by Zayn, but it was definitely flashy. Dodges away from the Spear of Alpha by just jiggling.
Yeah, actually really impressive movement by Mlbb there. Literally the moment he walked into that brush, saw a red health bar, just instantly walked out. Didn't even give Dax time to get that Spear of Alpha out. A catch there would have been huge and would have poked Mlbb down to the point where BTK couldn't secure the turtle easily, but now they are at full HP.
Ooh.
And they'll take control.
The pressure on PX7, slam, pass, the Eternal Guard, forced on him, split, bring him back all the way. Shark finds first blood, the Appraiser's Wrath will bonk on Dax. Zayn still alive, and Royal Milk is there with the yo-yos. White Chicken with a split again. It's a 2 for 2 at the end of the day for Falcon, and I think it's a win for Falcon.
Yeah, I think that is indeed going to be a win for Falcon here. It looked really good for BTKs to start off. There was actually some impressive microplay, especially... Oh, Benny.
Rhapsody, one last shot. Zia still wants to stay for minions. Benny's waiting on the last Death Sonata. Not able to get it in time.
Yeah, no demonic energy, but Dax securing the turtle.
Great turtle take. It'll be traded with Kid X, and Zayn takes the kill. Kill for turtle. Dax still have an XP lead. But Zayn walks up. They're just going to steal that camp away. And Shark, I believe. No, it's Zayn. Was it Shark? Was it Zayn who got it? I think it was Shark.
Yeah, I think so as well. But we can definitely see the impact that the Cecilia on mid is having on BTK, right? They're still trying to play as aggressively as before, but without a mid laner that's able to match up to that pressure, they are lacking just a little bit of DPS to really finish off Falcon in some of these extended skirmishes, right? Royal Milk being able to survive in that previous turtle fight was what allowed Falcon to be able to turn things around because BTK already lost most of their consistent sources of DPS. So right now, Falcon does still hold on that goal lead because they were able to secure the objectives a bit more consistently away from their opponents thus far. However, Bruno Cecilion is a lineup that has been able to turn around late games for multiple teams here in the M6 Swiss stage. So a similar condition is going to be put on Falcon in this game that BTK had in game 1. End the game by the 15-16 minute mark or you will have problems.
You see the unstoppable force there from Shark over to the Eternal Guard. I believe maybe trying to escape from a possible follow-up from Falcon Esports. But for BTK, I agree with you, yeah. With the Sicilian and with the Bruno, they can really just play it slow. And for Falcon, with the first turtle, they got to try to play it fast. They got to try to fix the tempo to their speed. They don't want to let Hoon continuously just stack up, and they definitely do not want Zia on the Bruno to farm up, right? In game number 1, it was a good way from BTK to actually stop Benny by just constantly ganking and putting pressure onto towards the Bruno. This game, I think we don't see as much attention from Falcon Esports up top, but Benny's doing a good job alone at shutting down Zia.
Yeah, when you're playing with a Bruno on your side, there's this subconscious expectation that he'll be able to hold his lane by himself and win it out pretty safely. Not to mention, BTK can't really give up too much of their mid pressure to try and gank him. And because of that, Benny is able to use the extended range of the Granger to poke out Zia in lane and start building up stacks. You can see too, they just have more pressure.
Eternal Guard coming in. Oh, great retribution from Dax. Right as he goes into the Spear of Alpha to stun Mlbb. Now he's going to be caught. Royal Milk with the chase. That's a flicker from Shark. Ejector not ready. The Spark missiles will come through and Chicken actually gets away. Benny is waiting for the last shot perhaps of the Death Sonata, but will not be able to get it in time and will instead just shove in the wave up top. Shark trying to stop that steal, that invade from happening, but I believe Falcon should be able to just take it away even despite that ejector.
Yeah, this is exactly what Falcon Esports needs to be doing right now. They have a composition that is way better towards that early to mid-game scaling. They just have more DPS and more burst overall, so they gotta run them down. They gotta take more map control, take more structures to try and end the game early.
No Purify on PX7. Smart missiles. Oh, great Terrified. Mlbb with the Appraiser's Wrath. PX7 trying to go for a little bit of a dodge there. Oh! Zayn still gets it with the enhanced attack. I thought he missed the skill 1. Concealed from Shark. Zayn will sacrifice himself. Walking up, but Shark will fall too. The sacrifice failed. And that's another kill over. Benny is angry.
Yeah, you can see that anger right now from Fcon Esports slowly building up on that goal lead. And I'm sure the fans are very happy to see this. Fcon is happy to see this because this is what their lineup is built for. Granger is a snowball hero. He farms well, he scales evenly, but the more advantage you can give him, the more of a threat he's going to be, especially once he hits that Sky Piercer timing. So Fcon Esports knows that they cannot afford to let this game prolong too far. They have heroes that will drop off in effectiveness the later the game goes. And we've already seen in the past that Granger, although very good at opening up the map and picking people off, is not actually that good at taking structures, especially the Crystal, since he's based more around skill spam than auto attacks, right? So it'll become harder to push into the base the later the game goes for them.
Great Purify from PX7. Dax with the respect as well, just uses the Spear of Alpha instantly there. Doesn't want to take any chances. Penny stealing the purple buff away. Taking it away, and now, oh, Royal Milk. Oh, that damage! Royal Milk has just soloed Mlbb. It was a bit of help from Dax, but that was a statement. That was a declaration of war from Falcon.
The CC pick, very effective for Fcon Esports, and not just for winning out against tankier EXP laners, but for being the bane of heroes like Fredrin. And the crowd is chanting!
Eternal Guard into Dax's spear! Chicken gun down by Benny with a Death Sonata. And now it is all Fcon Esports.
Fcon Esports are sinking their talons into the bloodthirsty kings, and the atmosphere is electrically charged by the Burmese fans as they are witnessing their team go head-to-head. Right now, 5k goal lead, 8 minutes in. Fcon still has plenty of time to continue piling on the pressure and ending the game before Zia and Hoon have a chance to come on a line. But the Bruno and Cecilion so far have not been killed once in this game. The next target for Fcon Esports is to stifle their farming, and then the game should go very easily into their hands.
We saw Benny on the Bruno, 100% win rate in game 1, destroyed. Now we're seeing possibly MOBA Fred's Fredrin, 100% taken away by Falcon. That would definitely be poetic, right? BTK taking away the 100% from Benny, and then Falcon returning the favor just in game number 2. And you could just see in the draft, we were talking about it, you know, criticizing, you know, Fredrin, Bruno, leaving it both to BTK was a risky move, but they played their cards well. They knew how to deal with it. The CC pick turns out to be the way to do it. And with the CC here being so free in the team fights, they decided to go Flicker. Now, they don't even need the extra sustain from the Vengeance, doesn't even need the extra sustain from, or maybe just even the mobility from Sprint. It's all about the Flickers, just blinking in, getting damage, and then getting out.
Yeah, no reason to have to go Vengeance here, right? This CC was specifically picked towards the end of the draft, and by that time, Fcon Esports had already seen most of the DPS options that BTK had, especially the Sicilian mid lane, right? Because of that, they just don't have to worry about Royal Milk being bursted down very much. It's better to go for extra maneuverability so that they can chase BTK down and disrupt their very tight frontline potential. A Lord has now been secured for Fcon Esports, and the timing is closing for BTK. The chants of the fans in the audience signaling the potential death toll of the American representatives.
This is crazy how loud the fans are. It's phenomenal. MY, I thought MY stands for Malaysia, man. Honestly, game 2 here is making me really feel like I'm in Myanmar. That's a Sea Halberd, War Axe. Oh, Benny's built. Benny's ready for a fight, for a real brawl.
Not even going for the Sky Piercer, actually, just straight up building into damage so that Benny is able to melt down frontliners like Mlbb and Fried Chicken as well. And we can see that it's being very, very effective. A 4k goal lead between the goal laners. Lord pushing in. It's only the first. BTK still has their holy defense, but how well can they hold?
Royal Milk Zone in the back with the curtain calm. Putting Hoon together with Fried Chicken. Mlbb gets ejected back. That's a retribution from Mlbb only onto the mini waves. The Lord will be able to get the first base turret in the mid lane. BTK dealing with the rest of the waves. Fcon Esports with the first Lord. A base turret take is already crazy value, but they're not happy with just one. They're setting up the waves for another siege.
Fcon Esports are well aware that the next Lord is probably the last chance they can get to really push in and end before Hoon starts building up genuine stacks. The Death Sonata is doing a lot of poke damage.
Kidex zoning them in the back. Mlbb isolated. Curtain call. Oh, Kidex brought back into the Fountain Shark. Flickering back. White Chicken with a slam pass by the Royal Milk. Dodges away from it. Benny mounted up. Brought back again. See ya. Together with Hoon finds the kill. A 2-for-1 trade. But Falcon Esports, they got the 2 base turrets, and they are happy with that now. With that trade, they back away.
Falcon Esports are still in a very, very comfortable position, but the next Lord is basically their time limit for ending the game. Bloodthirsty Kings being able to find some pickoffs there and even giving Zia and Hoon their first kills of the game respectively is going to help them start building up that potential they need to start holding on to the base defense, right? They're very good at counter-engaging against sieges. Hoon, we can see, already has those 200 stacks on the Sicilian.
That's pretty low, right?
Still a bit low, actually, yes. So Falcon actually may have more time than we expected.
They have a lot of time. We were talking about maybe, 14-minute onwards that the power spike might hit, but seeing how behind Hoon is on stacks, I feel like even 14 minutes is not really going to cut it, right? Like,
yeah.
Falcon actually have a lot of time now to play. They can keep calm, play it slow, and they've gotten 2 base turrets, right? That fight for BTK, it was good for them. They got a few kills, but it was still way better for Falcon Esports. That was the far lane base turret taken away, and it'll just be an auto advantage for Falcon as they set up for the enhanced Lord in the 12th minute of the game. Benny already securing the endless battle.
That is Benny's final item as well until he decides to replace his shoes. So this Granger has reached the peak of his DPS potential. The 15-16 minute mark, the second Lord we talked about, is usually about the time when Bruno becomes a problem. But looking at the stacks that Hoon has, the Sicilian hasn't quite reached that point either. So Falcon still has a bigger window to play with than expected. They will be able to get this Lord without too much problem. 7k gold lead still in their hands. And a marksman that is quite capable of outranging the Sicilian. Bloodthirsty Kings, not too sure if they have the lineup to be able to hold a base defense here, especially with Falcon effectively pushing and sinking every wave on the map.
It's looking bleak for the defense of BTK. For Falcon, they're going to spread their wings now. In the siege they go. Kidex with the glorious pathway. Hoon going to be chunked as well. Ejector coming out. Hoon very low. Flickering out to safety. Kidex gets covered Sanguine Claws, but now in the back line as well. Royal Milk, Winter Crown, Spear of Alpha from Dax. CSC able to cut away as he flickers out to safety. Benny low. Checking with the split. Mlbb Zayn kited again as Hoon constantly goes over bad impact. The base wide open. Benny trying to go for it right now. The Lord is there. The winner crowns his spot as well. They're trying to target it down. Benny will slay Mlbb Zayn. Sia is next to the chopping block. And Benny will go for the base to equalize it. And we're getting a game number 3.
Despite their best efforts, BTK not able to hold the crystal up, and the Burmese Sky Warriors making sure that they stick to their target. They are the predators in the land of Dawn, eyeing their opponents, making sure that there is no chance for them to reach the scaling necessary to counteract. Yet again, we are going to a full series where a single game will determine which team moves on into the M6 knockout stages. As usual, let's throw it back to our panel to tell us what happened in this game.
Number 3. That was fun. Number 3. That was fun. I love that. That was great.
Banger confirmed.
Banger confirmed.
We were looking for Falcon Esports' playstyle. We were looking for their signature approach, and here they presented to us a solution that none of us were expecting.
I didn't expect it for sure. I think a lot of it came down to just hard execution from their side, but they're just showing BTK, hey, if you can snowball on us, we can do the exact same thing back at you. If not, maybe a slightly tad bit better, especially against the Fredrin. I gotta give Royal Milk big star for him, A+ performance on that CC. But not only that, PX7 decided to step up, and Benny now showing that his Granger, he's got the footsies. He knows his spacing.
Yeah.
Now I understand the Vexana. Now I understand how game after game, PX7 just says, give me the Vexana.
Yeah, game number 1, they were overwhelmed. Game number 2, when things were a little bit closer, you see just how good the Vexana for PX7 is. Officially now, Falcon Esports has delivered the very first loss of BTK's Fredrin in M6. Going into this game, Mlbb Zayn was 4-0. Falcon Esports are the 1-4-1.
I mean, look at these items, man. A lot of it just comes down to how ahead can you find your side laners. And in this case, Royal Milk did a good job because not only did he chunk out Fwide at level 1, from that point onwards, once he got both the Brute Force Breastplate on top of that War Axe, even Zayn, who didn't find that initial snowball, and a lot of collapses coming out specifically from Falcon. Maybe it was just this high loss pick that really stopped them in the first place. You can't disengage from it, you can't walk away from it.
Yeah, Kid X, Dax, Royal Milk, it looked like they both, and even the Eternal Guard of the Vixana, all did a great job of messing up the backline of BTK. Where, of course, when you have White Chicken going forward, Mobazane as well, Shark, Hoon, and Zia, if they have all the room in the world, they will deal all the damage in the world. But Falcon nipped it in the bud, and they stopped that every single time. Benny, also, we got to see him in lane, show us a fact of current MLBB, where after level 4, majority of Grangers should defeat Bruno in lane once they both hit that level 4 mark, and that's exactly what Benny did.
And that puts BTK in such an interesting spot. Falcon Esports did what we asked of them to do pre-game. They compromised mid, forced Shark on the Jawhead, forced Hoon onto the Sicilian, and that allowed for Falcon to move a little more freely, compromise those side lanes, again, win with the Granger in the side, up until at least the Bruno gets the inevitable power spikes, and again, Royal Milk's silent MVP performance. I'm gonna tell you now, if he doesn't get the MVP, he gets my nod.
I have to agree with that as well. I think, the biggest mistake coming in from BTK's side is, hey, you need to make a decision on which lane you want to win. As much as you have a lot of faith in Zia, his builds, in terms of emblems alone, if you wanted to win lane even, or at least try to win it pre-level 4, you look for Master Assassin. But he respects it because Zia did the exact same thing to Benny in game number 1. So I think at that point, BTK needed to make a choice because right now, based on what we've seen in this game, Shark on this Jawhead after that first hurdle, null and void.
And it's that choice that Falcon Esports forced BTK to make. Actually, counterintuitive, there's no good choices for BTK to make, especially in the small frame of time that they were working with. As early as, 10, 11 minutes, Falcon were already knocking into BTK's base. And with that, they've unlocked a playstyle we haven't seen from Falcon in all of M6 yet. I'm gonna call it the Burmese Python playstyle. They used the Hylos to lay down a back line from BTK to not cross over. Kid X was very good at doing that. And then suddenly you would see Royal Milk crossing over, forcing BTK to back off, and that compromises that strong backline that BTK has. Everything else just follows. That's just what made the defense hard for BTK, because underneath turrets, this Burmese Python playstyle really doesn't shine as much because you have turrets hitting you. But once that final push came in, that final siege, they figured that out with the right tempo and bursting down what was left of BTK in that final fight. It made more sense. I want to see more of this in Game 3.
Yeah, you have to respect what Falcon did here. Game number 1, we doubted what they did, giving BTK so many power picks. Then they readjusted. They acknowledged that the problem lied in the mid, lied in the roam. Take away and steal away some of the best picks, and we can set up Benny for success. 4, 1, and 5. As much as he was set up, again, he did it in the lane. He beat Zia in lane.
Look at that GPM. 935 GPM. That
Crazy.
is disgusting. And not to mention that the equipment that he decided to bring is actually a little bit different, right? He's not only thinking about survivability, but he's actually getting a good amount of CDR, not only from the War Axe, but also the Endless Battle, which not a lot of Granger players actually opt to go for. Because again, you're waiting for the full Rhapsody to end before you get the Empowered Auto.
He's weaving in those basics, and that's what makes Benny the bite in the Burmese Python playstyle. What they were doing, that weaving in and out of combat, denying choices from their opponents, Benny is the one in the middle making BTK writhe in pain, making them feel like, oh wait, we're running out of frontliners, we're running out of options, and then next thing you know, all right, we just lost the fight.
That first highlight was absolutely key. Since Falcon Esports were able to break the gold lane first, that forced a switch from BTK to send Zia bot, and of course Mobazane would set that up to try and trade the tower up first. But since Benny was let out of lane, they could go as a full 5-man to counter the BTK engagements, and after that, everything just turned around in favor of Falcon Esports.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough to watch, especially for BTK fans, because again, it was a good showing in game number 1, but game number 2, the Falcons, esports, they're here to play. And I think that coming into 3, adaptations are going to be extremely key. Because again, big game changers here came down to the wire of the EXP. I think that all other lanes definitely could have made an impact, but not as much as Royal Milk in that sector. Tie up the back line, tie up the front line, doesn't matter. As long as they're tied up, they ain't running away from these Death Sonata shots coming in from Benny's Granger.
Again, constricting their opponents, forcing them into a non-winnable position, and then Benny just goes for the head. Pa, pa.
And now we find ourselves here. One game. After all of the BO1s we have, we default, go back into the best of one. One game to secure that next knockout spot. And it's all up in the air now. What I appreciate about the series so far is game number 1, BTK made the Bruno, arguably one of the best Brunos in the world, bleed, and the lineup around that. Game number 2, Fcon showed that Captain America and his shield isn't unbreakable. They deliver the first loss on the Fredrin of Mlbb, and they did so against a lineup that looked like it was built for success because it was the best of BTK's qualities. No, here, they played their greatest hits for that game number 2, but then Fcon answered that with their own unique EXP lane pick as well. I call CC unique because we don't see her a lot. So the question is that now going to be something looming over each of these two teams' heads? That CC is active and has proven to be great against lineups that are too front heavy and rely a lot on a solid backline.
I don't disagree with it. I do think that, yes, there is some logic to it. However, it does come at a little bit of a cost. Because let's say that level 1 didn't happen the way that it did, and Fwhite was able to hit level 2 on time, and then maybe call a little bit of help from Shark to create a scenario where he could leave the lane first. I think it would have been a very different scenario at that point of time. So it just goes to show that as much as the EXP is highly impactful to overall team fights from early to mid, there is a lot of focus in that laning phase because it's so volatile.
All right, best case scenario, if these teams are locked in, crazy momentum shifts withheld, if they say game 2, Fcon solve the whole mid lane situation, game 3, XP lane is now a legit threat, what do we do for gold and jungle? Because that seems to be the only other lanes left unlocked.
I agree with you, gentlemen. Great points. Unlocking the right lanes and taking a lot of focus and taking care of your laning phase. Now that we find ourselves back into a very familiar scenario, well, question is, did you miss this? I mean, we're back in the BO3 brackets, BO3 days, but did you miss the BO1s? Gideon? Already shaking your head?
Nope. Adaptation is always going to be key. And my favorite thing about BO3s is we get to see the full, length and breadth of a squad. What are they capable of doing? What are some of the adaptations they like leaning in for? And most importantly, who are the standout players? Who's going to be consistent in all 2 or even 3 of those matches?
Yeah.
Short answer is no.
No.
The fact that we got here to what we could call a best of 1 is a creation of the best of 3 series. If for not the opening salvo of the joy from BTK and not this amazing CC game from Royal Milk in game 2, this best of 1 would not have been possible. So no, we've crossed that path. We're done with BO1s.
Yeah.
Welcome to M6.
Well, I mean, the best of 1s are still a significant factor into our World Championship. It unlocked a new level of scenario for Mlbb Esports and the results. But at this point, I'm very happy to be back in the BO3.
Yeah, same. It's a simple question of, do you like your appetizers or do you like, main courses? Something a little bit more tangible, a little bit more bite and meat to it.
Yeah. So let's see now what these two teams are going to be doing to win. Again, one game, one win will send you to the knockout stages to join RRQ Hoshi, Fnatic Onyx Philippines, and excuse me, can you help me jog my memory? I blank for
NIP Flash.
NIP Flash, thank you.
Fresh off of that best of 3.
Yep. So, Fcon, are you gonna default and go back into that Vex?
I feel like they might do it one more time, but that's on the assumption that they're on blue side once again. BTK could take blue side for their own and then start changing it up with an early Cho pick. But I felt like in this game, BTK are putting themselves in a position where it's like, hey, if it works, don't fix it, right? They had a couple of good ideas when it came down to the EXP as a way to punish, but I think now they default back to their true play style. Let's make the plays all over again.
regardless of side, I think as long as you ban out the Hayabusa and the Fanny, or you take care of those kinds of factors, PX7's Vexana is not a problem. It's the actual threat.
So now let's see who will respect whom, which power picks will get locked in, which comfort picks will make a difference. And one last question. Similar to what we set up heading into the draft, will the EXP lane pick be the main focus yet again?
Dear
BTK,
God.
respect the CC and ban it first face blue side.
Pretty crazy, right? I mean, again, this just goes to show that BTK are given that respect over the Falcons. And I think that both sides understand that they are very momentum-based teams. You get that snowball running, it turns into an avalanche within 8 minutes.
Could imagine the conversation BTK had alongside their coach here, Pika Diff, Steven Tran. Coach, you just gotta get rid of that. Just right now, pick 2. Ban 2, CC, and the Jushin, they go back to their defaults. Still open, at large, the Hylos, the Cho, still out there. The Hilda as well.
Yep. Let's not forget about the Yve. I would imagine that Falcons is most likely going to ban the Yve this time around, unless they don't mind playing the Yve into Valentina, Yve into Vex even. Both could be okay. It's tough. I would say that this is a tough decision coming in from Falcon side. Like, red side feels just a little bit weaker, specifically in this best of 3.
Too bad. Still the Eve, but the interesting thing is if BTK decide to, hey, let's just run it back, let's try to replicate our red side draft, put it into the blue side this time around, with the CC gone, things might end up actually in favor of BTK if ever they decide to go that route. But at the same time, of course, I think Falcon can easily read into that.
Are you saying a blue glue?
Not a rush for the first pick, but first
phase.
Last phase.
Oh.
Yep. I think definitely last phase is going to be more important. This high loss has been quite a problem. Personally, for me, I was thinking maybe like BTK might just go straight into the flex pick Cho instead of the high loss, but we've seen in these past 2 games how devastating the Glorious Pathway has been.
Yeah, and the difficult thing is now, because of Falcon's aggressive 2 bans onto the mid laners with the Loyi, the Eve, and of course BTK taking away the Jushin, the high loss is set up for success.
Yep, it's a soft counter to the Bruno. Because the Bruno's wide open, Benny's thinking twice.
Yeah. Falcon now will have to consider. It's a Vexana. They're rushing it, and it's the Phoveus for Falcon.
All right. The way that Falcon is drafting, I'm pretty sure they're taking into consideration what happened in Game 1, and I hope it's not a replay. That would have been, you know the saying, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And with a Game 2 in the middle of that, too. Like, you can't forget a lesson that quickly.
Yeah, very true, very true. But at the same time, hopefully BTK doesn't overthink this, right? There's a good chance that they're thinking, hey, all right, if they're going to replay this composition one more time, could we dig even deeper into our pockets to whip out something more interesting, more extravagant to get into that back line?
So it's X-Fred. Because that's what that Game 1 looked like here.
Yeah. Will it be Fred? Will it be Suyo? Will it be Alpha? Still the Fredrin, of course, for BTK, and they get the Granger. So right now, they've built up a strong front, and they're going to be saving the Fried Chicken's pick for the later phase, while the mid laner, Rahun, is still up in the air. And I think that's what Falcon might consider banning out even more, but I feel like a Valentina Aurora or Valentina Sicilian ban, you know, banning 2 of any of those 3 might be just a little bit too much. They're going to have to pick their poison.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to pick their poison. And I think as long as it doesn't have some form of way to keep up with the rest of the team, because you've already got the Glorious Pathway. That's going to be the extra movement speed is going to help you kind of close that distance, but at the same time doesn't have self-peel. And that's something that was missing from the previous game when Hoon was on that Sicilian. There's an optimal distance that you want to be at.
Finally, Falcons get their hand on Kid X's signature pick. The Tigreal was banned with a vengeance in Game 1.
Ooh, okay.
And 2.
You know, since he got it, very good. But now I'm starting to remember my old question. I think a Valentina and an Aurora ban might actually be okay. It might not be too greedy considering that you have a Tig and a Phoveus with
For sure the Valentina.
Yeah.
Maybe both.
Yeah, they might just lean into both, depending on the next bans here for BTK. Because giving a Tig ult to the BTK's lineup now might be equally terrifying. If Falcon don't have to worry about a Valentina. They might actually just be able to run away with this.
I mean, there's also the possibility of... I mean, we haven't seen the jungler come out from the side of Falcons just yet, and I think it's a really good idea to kind of hold back on what it is, just so that you could find an angle to punish the mid laners now that you're already pinching it, right? And I think in BTK, straightforward, get rid of the Beatrix, get rid of... probably also get rid of the Bruno while you're at it, right?
But 75%, it's looking like an alpha once again. Call it now.
I mean, Alpha, Tig, Vex, at one point, 2.5 months ago, we would say that's an ultimate winning combo. You already win the early to mid.
Yep. But here in M6, here in this current patch, things are not so simple. There's the Cho. They're still continuing to attack Shark here. So that does leave the Valentina open.
Are they not worried? So they're probably going to overload them with ults at this point, right? It's Alpha plus X, and I would only imagine that if they could get their hands on Beatrix, they would. But since it's banned out, does that mean they need self-peel for their marksman, who's going to get outranged anyway by the Detonata? Because I think even at least with the Moskov, the Spirit of Despair, oh, Hylos is coming at me, I can at least push you back, and if, you know, Mlbb happens to be standing behind you, I don't mind the extra bit of time.
They're asking for the Bruno.
I mean, that's true. But whatever the jungle needs to be, they just really have to make sure that the... Yeah, he'll get his Bruno. It has to be a strong 4-man team fight. I know, they're just gonna go for a full 5-man team fight. Valentina wide open and would be the perfect pick right now. Unless they've cooked up something that will give more difficulty to this Tigreal and this Phoveus.
After what happened in game 2, would you still glue?
Oh, I don't know. I think you might. I mean, at least the matchup into Phoveus is like a lot better compared to CC at a bare minimum.
Yeah. Right, they both leave the lane about the same time. You're still worrying about the same threats from mid.
At least you'll be healthy when you leave the lane.
Yeah.
That's a really tough one.
Yeah. Again, we did post a question, the EXP lane pick. If it's Arlott, though, I might be skeptical. But I think it needs to be active.
It's a Joy again!
Okay, they go back to the Joy for Fly Chicken, and there's the Valentina, as we said, for Hoon. It's lineup of BTK. Did Falcon prepare for a last pick to counter it all?
Is this the venom we're looking for, the poison? Because Burmese pythons are non-venomous.
Yeah.
They take down their prey with sheer force. Brute force. Is that what we're looking for? Is that the alpha?
Well, he does pack on a brute force breastplate sometimes.
That he does.
He does come in packing as well.
But that's spelled out. There's no sense of urgency nor an element of surprise if this is indeed the alpha.
Yeah.
They just have to play good.
They just, I honestly think that both teams are just going to have to play good. I think they're trying to, you know, especially from Falcon's side, replay game number 1, except better, less mistakes. Oh, no alpha, Suyo.
The switch up.
All right, a little bit more mobile, a little bit more chances of being able to flank. They don't have something along the lines of the CC, so it might fall into the hands of Dax to break the formation. Game number 3, it's Falcon and BTK.
A single best of 1 now separates both these teams from moving on to the knockouts or having to face off in the final day of the M6 Swiss stages. My name is once again Staffa, joined by Mirko to bring you game 3 of a very intense series.
Oh man. Again, it's back to a best of 1. Falcon Esports with the draft, this is technically, this is very similar to how they were able to win the MM qualifiers, right? The Bruno on Benny, and man, Kid X on that signature Tigreal. We'll see if they can do it. Reverse sweeping BTK just like we saw in match 1. It was a reverse sweep.
Yep, these two teams have both elected to go back to the basics, the all reliable, the pocket picks, the comfort strategies, but only one will emerge victorious. Will Falcons replicate their success during MSC, or will the bloodthirsty Kings finally claim the vengeance they've been eager for since then?
We'll have to see. BTK back on almost just game 1 all over again, right? The only difference here being Hoon on the Valentina, not the Lo Yi. But this game, the Valentina, I was pretty surprised. I think the panel was also pretty surprised that we didn't see the Valentina banned out, considering they already have a Tigreal. Hoon might actually want to go for the Valentina to steal away the implosion. That's a retry. I believe Dax was able to get it. Yes, he was. Kid X, though, will be chunked quite a bit, but he should be happy with that trade.
Yeah, under normal circumstances, you would probably want to ban the Valentina, especially with Tigreal on your side, so you don't have to deal with like counter implosions. But getting rid of that Cho, I think, did have a little bit higher priority for Fcon Esports, just to make sure that BTK doesn't have a hero that's able to separate their front lines, right? So far, BTK has shown that they're very effective at playing more scattered team fights, so they don't want to give initiators that can create those situations for them. In terms of emblem setups as well, we are seeing things go back to a bit more of a standard style, but a heavy emphasis on damage for the Fcon Esports side with that Master Assassin on Benny, as well as the penetration emblem for PX7 and Royal Milk.
He knows without the Lo Yi, he's actually, without the Lo Yi on the hands of Hoon, he will be in the lane much more just 1v1 against Zia. So that's why this time he goes for the Master Assassin, no longer the tenacity I believe that we saw from game number 1. I think it's a good decision. PX7 already sent up top to get level 4 quickly to shove in the waves, but Mlbb is doing a good job of just holding the turtle away from Dax. Will reset it and will not give the full control over to Fcon Esports.
We have to note, Suyo was very, very popular for a time because it was impossible to out-retry him. That health threshold has been nerfed, but Shark
will take a bit of damage. Fried Chicken jumps in though, like to find beats over the Dax. Not enough damage to actually zone anyone away. Kid X flickering in front, getting the implosion. Who doing the same, but is only going to catch on to 2 members as Pick7 pops in Eternal Guard. And now it's Zane still sustaining. Royal Milk going inside, trying to go in for the pursuit, finding Shark again. In for the pursuit, should be ready. Jumps in one more time. Shark gets the stun down. Mlbb is trying desperately to keep him alive as Dax gets the turtle, and that's first blood over to Royal Milk. Mlbb going to be shoved again, still able to dash away. Royal Milk goes in for the pursuit. Chicken walking up with a vengeance, going on to Dax, but look at his placement from Royal Milk. Infernal Pursuit. Now it's Mlbb that's going to be caught. Infernal Pursuit one more time. Zane able to kite away. Sia joins in the team and picks up a double.
Ooh, it's personal between these two teams here. An extended fight around the turtle and then extended into the purple buff. It's really hard to say which team actually came out on top in that one because it did end up being very, very scrappy.
One more ball. Benny gets the kill, punishing Zia for rotating. You stay in my lane.
Fcon Esports now starting to recognize the habits of BTK a little bit more and understanding that this is not an opponent that you can give map control over to. It is time to take your foot off of the brake pedal. It is go. You have a Tigreal Vexana mid duo. It is so good at countering rotations. As long as you're able to keep track of where BTK is, Fcon Esports can stop them from being able to regroup at any point in the game.
That was a good hold by Shark, though. It could have been way more punishable by Benny had Shark not held the wave. But luckily for Zia, he gets the 2 kills, gets taken out still, but he's able to actually still get the XP and gold from the minion waves. Chicken up top, this is a different story this time around. Royal Milk actually just getting the lane advantage, and Dax, this is the reason the Suyo is still really good. Despite the nerfs onto Soul Sever, you still deal a lot of damage with all your other skills. And to heroes, it wasn't really nerfed, it was only the objective damage.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of utility, this hero, still, because of the number of skills he has available in his arsenal. The Hunter Strike already completed. Dax should be able to start rotating around along with Kid X and PX7 to really dish out burst damage. And that's going to be good, right? Fcon Esports, the more advantage they can get, the slower they can force the BTK members into playing. And when they have a Granger on their side, they're really trying to upscale that mid-game momentum.
Hoon has Eternal Guard, will be poked down by Penny. Implosion from Kid X onto 2 Dax, finding the Retribution onto him. Mlbb jumping in the back line, so will Chicken with the electrifying beats. Now able to push out some damage though. Zia trying to cut away, but Royal Milk is dismantling the back line of BTK. Dax with the Soul Sever slashes. Hoon will be able to escape. Dax go for the stun. Hoon barely getting out, but Fcon Esports got the dub everywhere in that fight.
The Burmese Falcons showing us how it's done right now. They've recognized their opponents. They know how they play. They know how they operate. They are punishing BTK for very tight front lines, playing around Mlbb on this Fredrin. The Tigreal has always been a concern for BTK's exact style of gameplay, which is why they have been banning it out consistently against a player like Kid X, but it slipped through the cracks this time. And you can see how effective he is being with that timing. He's not using it to force battles. He knows that BTK, they've got those trigger fingers, you know, they're going to want to start things themselves, and that is when he can jump on them and strike.
Fcon Esports This is a very, very different Falcon Esports from Game 1. Despite the same draft almost from BTK, Benny is not 0-2 on the Bruno. He's 1-0. He is scaling up to be a monster. Already almost Berserker's Fury at the 6-minute mark will be given the space by Kid X to get the turret up top. Level 9, a level ahead of Zia already. And we know how lethal Benny on the Bruno can be. Zia will be able to get a trade down below though, but as we were talking about, Benny gets that Berserker's Fury.
Berserker's Fury, 2 items completed in 6.5 minutes. This is a huge problem now for BTK. We already know Bruno, he accelerates the game, right? You want to end it before... Hold on.
Check in with a vengeance, able to kind of wait for now. Kid X will be chain CC and Hoon gets the pick off.
BTK really needing to find some sort of punish there. The ideal would have been a kill on Benny, but removing Kid X for another 10 seconds is actually great timing because the turtle has just come up. This will allow BTK the more comfortably positioned, but look at Benny's damage already.
Ridiculous damage. Royal Milk going in. Benny putting some damage down onto Shark again, and Falcon Esports, they were able to buy enough time. Kid X has spawned back in the game. White Chicken looking for the back line, will be going on the big 7 electrifying beast mode, but Zane Chain sees him. Dax gets the turtle though. BTK still caught in the fight. That's a pure fight from Zia! Kid X finds an implosion! 2 members caught in the implosion. Zane brought back again, and that will be Zane trying to run away. But you cannot run away from the infernal pursuit. Benny continues with the siege, and it is a win by Falcon Esports again.
With the talons of a falcon and the eyes of a hawk, the Burmese representatives with their eye on the prize the entire time. Fried Chicken in the backline does not matter. Losing PX7 just a trifle because they get the turtle and they're able to surround BTK immediately. They have way more punishing power over time.
Check in with a vengeance. Benny assassinated in the back. Kid X dealt with as well. A bit of an overstay from Falcon Esports, overextending to get the orange buff, and they will be punished for it.
We have to note, White Chicken's still going to be a threat to Benny as long as he's not minding his position, and in that case, they were definitely pushed up a little bit too far. Are not really respecting BTK after their previous battle wins. Even a flicker now forced out from Royal Milk. Falcon, they still have the gold lead, they still have the tower advantage, and Benny is farming well, but that kill is going to stifle that speed a little bit and give BTK a bit more breathing room.
Man, you forget about it. You just, when you see a lot of these fights go in Falcon Esports' way, you completely forget the damage that Chicken can do when he's on Vengeance and electrifying beats to a marksman. And I guess we were reminded of that. Benny won't make the same mistake twice. Dax, though, however, will try to ensure that that mistake doesn't happen twice. If he's able to poke down Zia and the rest of the members constantly with the arrows, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we have to note, White Chicken focusing on PX7 and Benny in most of these fights, it means that Dax is actually going by unchecked a lot of the time, right? The frontliners of BTK are not actually too well equipped for handling Asuyo with his max HP damage, and because of that, he's actually able to whittle down Shark and Mobazane quite efficiently.
Oh, man.
Even Zia having a hard time finding safe positioning, especially since Benny just completed that Malefic gun.
Oh, that's painful. And the thing is, that was literally just Dax with Royal Milk skill 2. That's it. No Curse Blast, no Benny with the footballs there. I don't know. If Benny gets a crit plus the combo earlier, could they have gotten Zia? Would that have been enough damage to take him down?
I think it actually would have been, right? Since he just finished Malefic gun right before that.
You see that damage onto minions? Benny's online.
Honestly, the more items a Bruno builds up, the heavier his balls become, I feel like. That's basically what's occurring with Bruno as he gets more farm. It goes up to like bowling balls, then to cannonballs. I don't really know what the ultimate is because you usually don't live that long anyway. But Fcon Esports are now playing the slow game, trying to bait BTK out of safety so that they can get a better opportunity for Benny to start melting them down.
Good poke, Royal Milk stunned up again. Mobazane trying to put the poke, Kid X! Going with the implosion, but only onto Mobazane. The Eternal God comes in as well. That's going to be Hoon potting some damage. Mobazane taken down. White Chicken looking for the flag. Will be stunned. CC. White Chicken will fall. Royal Milk gets his shot. Is burning down. But he survives. Free Lord to Falcon Esports. There is absolutely no chance for the Bloodthirsty Kings to contest.
The implosion only caught Mobazane, But when you're in a Lord dance, the enemy jungler is always going to be the best target you can go for regardless, and there is no way he is surviving both Jax and Benny when they are this farmed up. And then after that, being able to land the Blade Surge in the middle of the electrifying beats to catch out Fried Chicken, Falcon Esports have come to play, and they are showing BTK why they are still to be feared. A 5k net worth lead now. We can see Benny even picking up that Rose Gold Meteor BOD completed by Jax. If you thought that they were at their power spikes before, you haven't seen anything yet.
And you can see the respect from Benny, right? That Rose Gold Meteor already. Zia is not dealing enough damage to actually threaten anyone just yet from Falcon Esports. He needs to find the... He needs to thread the needle. He needs to get onto PX7. It's been hard doing it, but somehow they get him. Mlbb looking for the taunt over to Royal Milk. Milk doesn't have the flicker, but is... They can't go for the punish. Oh, Worldy, that's the bounce. Taking almost half HP, and Falcon will go for the base turret. That is base turret number 1 in the mid lane, falling down. It's tier 2 dealt with by Dax in the bottom. All while we're talking about it. Zia going for that Sonata over to PX7. Hoon trying to push out some damage again onto Kid X, but the base turret will fall again. Royal Milk walking up. Glorious pathway from Shark. Looking for a moment, but will not be able to find it. Dax in the mid lane will just blink away, and Falcon Esports have dealt with the far lane base turret for the next Lord.
So far, we could see that Falcons, everything is going exactly to plan. BTK, I like the discipline they showed earlier, and it's clear they're keeping track of the flicker timing on Kid X as well, because they were willing to group up to melt down the Lord without worrying about that potential flicker implosion combo. So it's very important that they know the timing on this battle spell, because it has been their undoing in almost every single fight. But we have reached a stage of the game where if you are not ending against a Bruno, you are in a lot of trouble. And BTK are nowhere close to that situation. They are the ones being threatened. Benny is almost maxed out on items. Yep. Dax is still a consistent threat, and they're having difficulty even breaking through Royal Milk in the first place. They are not able to find the angle they need, and Falcon Esports knows it.
Kid X finds the implosion. Instant vengeance from Fried Chicken. Benny will be caught in the bad situation. BX7 gets the Eternal Guard down, and that will take him down. Dax gets a 3-man stun. It's the kite back now as Shark pops in to revitalize. No Chicken. Benny. That damage now Windtalker 2 for Benny. Dax gets the Melfic Roar. 15 seconds for the Lord, and Chicken will not respawn in time. Falcon might just blitz this enhanced Lord.
It is the perfect opening for them. And even if they decide, hey, we don't want to end this right now, they have plenty of time. They scale so well into the late game with a Bruno and a Vexana. BTK are they're relying on Zia and maybe Fried Chicken being able to find the angle right now, but what can they even do here?
They're very low, but it's not low enough to actually threaten anyone. And you could see the crazy zoning from Kid X just standing there menacingly, stopping Zane. You shall not pass.
It may be a kid, but he is a terrifying one right now. As BTK, there is no way for them to break through. The only ideal situation is somehow Shark slows them down when they overcommit, and then Fried Chicken goes in and melts their backline. There is no other way to disrupt Falcon Esports. Their lineup is honest, it's simple, but it works, and they have the right options, and they're gonna try and end this right now.
They'll get the bottom lane base turret. Kid X still with the immortality already. Mlbb looking for a bit of damage, looking to go for the taunt. Fried Chicken will go in with the vengeance and the electrifying beats onto the minion waves and onto the Lord. Kid X getting the implosion down! Gets it! A big implosion, not enough to take anyone down though. No one was there to follow it up. Shark looking for the play, trying to bait out the minion waves. Zia still kiting. It was one ball over Benny, looking for the crit, over to Shark, one last one! He finds it, that's a double! Now Chicken caught in the midst of it all, the shove from Kid X will bring him back! Dax is unstoppable, Falcon! Fly high! Benny gets a triple on the Bruno, and they recall on the bloodthirsty King's corpses as they qualify to the knockout stages!
They may be falcons, but they are embodying the spirit of vultures as they circle their prey from above, just waiting for that final stroke to come. Falcon Esports denies BTK and claims yet another spot, moving on into the top 8, the knockout stages of M6.
Falcon Esports with a reverse sweep again. 2 matches, 2 reverse sweeps.
Let's go ahead and throw it back to the panel. I'm sure they'll have a lot to tell us because this was a great one.
Me and Mark can now confidently say they are a top 8 team as they make it to the knockouts, taking BTK in 3. Congratulations to Fcon Esports. What a game! And now they have made the best strategy of BTK bleed back to back with their own comfort. Turns out Vexana was the answer all along.
We had to question it, and they had to take it through the ringer. Game 1, not just the Vexana, even the Phoveus. And I think BTK were onto something. Taking away the Tigreal from Kid X was important to making this Game 3 victory happen. But that aside, Benny's Bruno still a known quantity.
It is a known quantity, but it just goes to